In this episode, I want to talk about field repair for rafts. This is going to work for pretty much any raft manufacturer except Air, which has its own process because it involves sewing. But this does work for the inner bladder on Airs. And historically, we brought raft glue and sandpaper and material. There's a whole process to repair a raft. I'm going to suggest leaving that stuff at home. Even if it comes with your raft, you don't really want to use that anymore. There's better solutions. And what I would bring instead are a few things. First is Type A tear aid. Type B works fine too, and the manufacturer might say something different. I found that Type A works on pretty much all rafts. Type B also does work. So if you have some, don't stress out, it's gonna be fine. I just think Type A is better. I'm gonna take it out of this box. This box is bulky and it kind of gets bent in dry bags and things, and put it in some container that protects it. Little peanut butter M&M containers you can buy for protect it, but get something separate than the box. I would pull out of here and get something smaller to protect that. You also need scissors to cut your tear aid, so have some kind of scissors with you. Also Tyvek tape. This stuff works okay and it costs way less money. Like, I don't know, it's like you get like 20 feet of Type A tear aid for about 30 bucks. This is a lot of feet, maybe 100, a lot of feet. Does it say 200 feet of this for like 15 bucks? And this can do some repair in a pinch. Also, you'll see it's nice to have flexible cutting boards. I wouldn't put these in your repair kit, but having these on the trip can be helpful, you'll see, for bigger repairs. And you need a pump. You got to put air back in there. So whatever you use, you need some sort of pump to do that. So we're going to do some repair on this boat. We'll do a small repair to start and a bigger repair after that. And Sotar was nice enough to give me this raft. So we just put a nice little hole in there. That's about 1.5 inches. And I want to show you the even Tyvek tapes, and it's leaking right now actively. Even Tyvek tape can do the trick. So this stuff is pretty inexpensive. Cut some off. If you slap this on there, and I did a pretty mediocre job, that stopped the leak. This is just a quick, easy solution. This might be enough to just get you home. Notice I didn't clean it. You should clean it. You can clean it, but it's holding fine with me sitting on there. Now let's put some air in here and see when this thing blows. See if we can get some pressure out of this. So I have 2 PSI right here, and you can see the Tyvek is holding pretty well. There's a little bit of bubbling right there, but this for a quick job is doing pretty well. Let's put some more pressure in and see what happens. Okay, now it's about to blow. Rapport. So that blew about 4 PSI. So not bad for a quick fix. Let's switch to tear aid. Tear aid is going to work better than Tyvek. It's this high-tech thing. I've used it a bunch. I'm a big fan. And what I'm going to do is cut a piece off here. And with the Tyvek, I didn't round the corners. It's hard to round the corners on the Tyvek. But with the tear aid, I'm going to round the corners. And that way, if it hits a rock or something, the corners don't peel up. I think this is a key part of it. And why having a good pair of scissors with you is really important. So here we go. We're rounding the corners of all this. I'm doing a pretty quick job here, which it turns out you can do this pretty fast. And I'm just going to pull the Tyvek off. The Tyvek should come off pretty easy. You can see I have a pretty decent hole right there. And I'm going to put the tear aid on. And tear aid is super sticky stuff. So you just want to be as careful as you can. I could have cleaned it with alcohol prep pads. I didn't. And you want to throw it on as evenly as you can to minimize any holes or wrinkles. I have a ton of holes and wrinkles on here just to show you that, like, you can do a quick job and it's not even centered. It's off centered a little bit, but it's going to work pretty well. Let's pump this thing up and see what pressure we can get. So you can see I didn't do the greatest job here. There's wrinkles. You can avoid those wrinkles. It's not perfectly centered. I did a pretty quick job and it's holding really well. Let's check the pressure. We're now at 4 PSI, which is a lot for a raft. This raft is pretty tight. You probably don't want to go tighter than this. So this is holding pretty well. If I had not had the wrinkles, had centered this better, it would hold even better. So let's see what happens when we have a bigger tear. So this boat is stiff right now. Again, you probably wouldn't even run it this tight. And I would recommend when you put a patch on, have that tube be a little softer so it can kind of give when it hits something else. If it hits something, that shock load can blow this, but this is holding remarkably well. And I've seen people put terried patches on and leave them for a year. This is amazing stuff. So I'd highly recommend using this for repairs, and it does a pretty good job. Let's see what happens though, and if I pull this off and we make this tear bigger. You can see it's sticky stuff. Oh man, it doesn't want to come off. You know what? Let's leave it on. Let's just make a bigger tear. Thank you, Sotar, for letting us use this boat. I appreciate it a lot. There we go. That's a decent sized tear right there. It blew my sunglasses off. And so when you have a tear this big, one of the first things you want to do is try to get the water out. There's water that probably got in there, and you want to try to get the water out of here. And what we're going to do is an inside outside patch. So I want to put, to really make this hold, I want to put a patch on the inside so the air pushes against it, and then put a patch on the outside. And ideally, I'm going to get terried in there, which is hard to do, but we're going to try it here right now. So the first thing I'm going to do is let air out of the corresponding tubes. I'm going to need to get this thing really flat. So I'm going to need to let a lot of air out of the boat to get good access. And then I'm going to really want to have some sort of flat surface below the boat. So hopefully you have something with you that is nice and flat. When we have our trips, we have these boards with us that we can pull out from underneath the rowers area. They can make a nice flat surface. You really want to prep this area well to have a nice flat surface down here to work with. So anything you can do to like let the air out down here and create a flat surface area is going to be really helpful. Prep is key here. Next, I'm going to try to get terrate in here, but I already know it's going to be really hard. So what I'm going to do is take one of these flexible cutting boards, and I'm going to put some terrate on the flexible cutting board. I'm going to cut the cutting board to make it easier to get the terrate in there. So let me grab a piece of terrate here. It's about the length that I want. Now on the inside patch, I'm not as worried about rounding the corners because it's not going to be hitting up against rocks and things. And I can use some of this Tyvek tape or duct tape if I have it to put it Here we go. So I can use some of this Tyvek tape or any tape that I have to get the terrate to stay on this piece of cutting board. So I'm gonna do this here. Hopefully that works. And this here. I basically want like a nice surface for that terrate to attach to. Now, we're going for perfection here. We're trying for perfection. It's very hard to get perfection. It's really hard. So try not to stress out about it. When you peel this terrate off, it's going to be this big sticky thing, especially these long pieces, to mess with. So, oh, I already made a mess. What do they do? This always happens, some sort of terrate mishap. All right, see, I made a little bit of a mess. So I'm gonna have to do this again. This is the problem with Terraid, is it's just almost too good. And you're gonna need enough Terraid to make mistakes, because you're gonna make mistakes with this stuff. It's just sticky stuff, and you're almost gonna need practice rounds. So let's grab some more Terraid. Let's see if we can pull this off without making a mess. Which is, again, I'm one person here right now. Usually you have more people, which usually makes this better. Oh. But it's very sticky stuff. And I'm gonna try to put it on this Tyvek so it holds down on this nicely. Okay, so I now have a very sticky thing right here. And now I'm gonna carefully slide it in here. Now, if this hole's not big enough, make it a little bigger, right? Like, you've already got a hole. You want it to get repaired where, so make it a little bit bigger to fit this thing you've created. And so you put this in here and you just very carefully move it around. Oh, it's already causing problems. And you get it where you want it. And again, you're going for perfection, but accepting it may not be perfect. And you get one good shot at this. So move this thing around. I'm trying to aim it for the Terraid. And you're just gonna push it down. All right. That actually went really well. And so now, if I put air in here, this is actually gonna hold on its own. This is pretty sweet because, again, the air is pushing this towards the repair. But what I really wanna do to solidify this and make it stronger is grab a little bit more Terraid and put a Terraid patch over the top. So this is some more Terraid. Is it big enough? It's not big enough. So I'm gonna bust into my supply of new Terraid here. And I'm gonna measure a piece to go right here. Rounding the corners, because on the outside, I can tell you from experience, rounding these corners is key to this operation. Because when it's on the boat, it's gonna tag rocks and things potentially, or find reasons to peel up. And now I'm gonna apply the Terraid on here, which is, again, tough. But I'm gonna do my best to pull this super sticky fabric off of here and put it on. Now, the thing I've learned to do, and this is tricky too, is pull the end off. Try to line it up here in the end, stick the end down, and then carefully pull it across. Boom. And I've done enough of these to know you just got to kind of do it. You can't take, that's actually a pretty good one right there. There's not many bubbles here at all. And mechanically pushing on, it's a chemical bond, so pushing on it doesn't help, but you want to push air bubbles out. That's your goal here, is to get air bubbles out. And now we have an inside outside Terraid patch on the boat. This was actually pretty quick. And now let's pump it up and see what happens. So here's the patch, and I'm pretty happy with it. Again, we're striving for perfection, but understanding this is really hard and accepting if it's not perfect. I'm super happy with the top patch. The inside patch, same thing. You can see there's a gash opening, and that's really the fear, is like as more pressure gets in the boat, it's gonna wanna pull this apart. So one thing I would suggest is running cam straps around the boat to kind of keep its shape. And if you toss over the top a couple of these under the cam straps, it protects this from abrasion. Like if this was to hit a rock really hard, it could break through potentially. This is protection, but if you put this on with a series of cam straps over the top, it keeps the tube from getting too large and pulling this apart and provides extra protection. Let me show you what that looks like. So for this size hole, this size gash, I think 3 cam straps are enough, but the more the merrier. If you can get more in there, great. And probably 1 cutting board is enough, but if you have 2, why not do 2, right? So I'm a big fan of these cutting boards and this technique. Now what I'm doing is I'm just kind of putting this over the top like this, and these cam straps are barely long enough. On this boat, I've got these 6-foot cam straps, which are just long enough to go around the tube. So 1 there. And I'm being thoughtful about buckle placement. I don't want the buckles right on the sides. If I was to hit a rock and push the buckle in, it could cause problems. I want them a little bit high up here so they're kind of out of the way of rocks. You have to decide on your own where you want them. And like this, I'm looking good. And what I want to do, I'm going to let a little bit of air out. What I want, again, that hole was getting bigger. So I really want this to make sure that the tube's diameter stays a little bit smaller right here, so that tear can't get larger this way and pull the tearate apart. The other, again, bonus of all this is this it's pushing nothing's gonna hit the repair. It's extra protection for that spot. It makes you feel better about it. And if the tearate starts peeling up a little bit, this will kind of keep it down. Again, if you want to add more cam straps, do it. It'll make it even more bomber to have more cam straps around that. Let's pump this up and see what kind of pressure we can get. So I just pumped this up to 4 PSI, which is more than you normally run your rafts. This feels pretty tight. The patch is holding great. So I have a lot of faith in this inside-outside patch with the addition of these cutting boards around the outside to tighten it up. In the field though, I would run this a bit softer. I'd pump my normal tubes up to a normal PSI, but let this one just be a little bit soft. So if you do hit a rock, it gives a little bit. If you hit a rock or something, you can shock load the system and then blow it that way. I'd highly recommend, so you make it a little tiny bit squishier so the tubes give a little bit when they hit something. So hopefully you believe this works. I'm a fan. It's so much easier than glue. It's so much faster than glue. And if this blows, if it goes away, like it breaks, you can redo it. With glue, once you've glued it, you have to clean that glue off, which is super nasty. When you put tearate on, you do have to clean it up a little bit. Like it sticks a little bit, but not like with glue. So to review, I'm going to recommend not bringing glue and patch material and sandpaper and all the things we used to bring, and just bring these things. Tyvek tape. This 200-foot roll of tape can do a lot of repairs, and in a pinch does a really good job. You saw it held, I think it was 4 PSI earlier, it held a lot of PSI. This on its own, it's quick, it's easy, it's cheap. Tearate is the magic. This stuff is awesome. Put it in a container that protects it. You don't want to just leave it in that box, because when you come pull it out, it's going to be all squished and messy. And recognize you're going to put some tearate on and you're going to make a mistake. So you're going to need a lot of this stuff. I would highly recommend 2 full rolls of this with you, because when you cut it, it's going to get tangled on each other. You saw me have problems with it. And so again, a lot of tearate is really helpful. You'll need scissors to cut the Tyvek. Well, you can use a knife, but scissors are nice. But to cut this around the corners and to cut cutting boards, scissors are really nice. And finally, having flexible cutting boards with you on your trip. You'll probably use them in the kitchen, but when you need them for this, pull them out for these emergency repairs. So that's it. Hopefully you learned a bit. I've learned a lot just doing this another repair. I wish we could all practice a lot. I wish we all had a lot of boats we could put holes in. Thank you again so much, Sotar, for giving me this boat to beat up a little bit. We pulled the D-rings off in some earlier videos, and now we're practicing boat repair with it. So again, thank you, Sotar. Like always, if you have questions, comments, things to add, put that in the comment section below. And that's it for this episode. See you next time.